Dresses hanging in the wind tonight, silent witnesses to stories untold. Sisters, mothers, daughters out of sight, their voices echo, brave and bold. Every face upon the missing wall has a name, a dream, a beating heart. We won't let their memory fall. Each one precious from the start. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up and speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. Indigenous people, strong and free, women, men, and children too. Your lives have meaning, you belong. We hear your voices call. All lives matter in this sacred space. Every soul within our human race. True seekers, junkies, unite. We are family, we'll make this right. We will stand up and join the fight. Fight on! They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand together, search as one, until every case is done. They matter, and love will light the way. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together.
Here. I hope, yep, we're all well. Making it to Sturgis. You be careful, Doc. Or Krusty. Just a minute. All of a sudden I heard myself and then I remembered I forgot to turn my sound off. So I was hearing myself. Hey, Fala, therapist, Irish Amy, Krusty, Pammy. Oh, yes. We have a great group here. And everybody wish Krusty well on his journey up to South Dakota. We want him to come back to us safe and sound. But let's get on with the evening because it's all about the thunder and the shadows. So greetings, my truth seekers and my justice warriors. I'm your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice, and my ride or die Doc is always riding shotgun as we navigate the complex landscape of the 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Right, Doc?
Yep. It's a good one.
While thousands gather for the roar of the engines and the thrill of the open road, there's another story unfolding, one that affects the Native and Indigenous communities, who call this their sacred land home. So tonight, we're peeling back the chrome and the leather, and we're going to expose the shadows cast by the massive gathering. The rally brings excitement and economic opportunity to the area, but it can bring danger that too often doesn't get talked about. So to our biker friends out there, we hope you'll keep your eyes open and watch out for anyone who might need help. The road Brotherhood extends beyond the ride, so buckle up because we're about to explore both sides of this American tradition, the celebration and the cost that some communities pay when the bikes roll into the Black Hills. Hey, Nurse Joy, glad you joined us, darling. And this is there could be a trigger warning for some. Just wanted to put it out there so y'all know. Okay? So, today we're going to talk about an event that brings joy to hundreds of thousands, but it does hide a dark side. The 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is going to kick off starting tomorrow, August 1st to the 10th in the Black Hills. Over 500,000 bikers are getting ready to descend on that small town of Sturgis for 10 days of freedom, camaraderie, and the open road. And you're talking about a town of maybe 7,000 at most. So, that's something to think about. That many people showing up going, hello, we're here. But the economic impact is huge. They make about, I think it said 800 million over this weekend. That's a lot of money that comes into the economy. But it also makes memories for so many of the bikers that come, priceless for many. They're lurking behind a legendary event, and it's a troubling reality that targets some of our most vulnerable citizens, though. And that would be the Native children. And today we're going to expose the trafficking epidemic that explodes during Sturgis. And it's not only Sturgis up there in South Dakota, it's also when they have their hunting season. So I'm not picking on the bikers. We love the bikers. But the Native American women and children, they're the ones that pay this price. Let's start with what Sturgis is supposed to be about. Picture this, okay? The Black Hills of South Dakota, 1.2 million acres of natural beauty. They say beautiful roads, beautiful places to go see, and it's about to come alive with the rumble of motorcycle engines. The 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, running from the 1st through the 10th, is a bucket list event for a lot of riders worldwide. They talk about this. So this milestone anniversary year, because it's the 85th, is going to get a lot of crowds. Last time in 2015, when they had their 75th anniversary, it drew an estimated 739,000 attendees. That's a lot of people. The 2024 rally saw nearly 471,000 vehicles pass through, and that's a 2.7% increase from 2023. But this year, the 85th, it should be a big one. The economy impact will be enormous. New Harley-Davidson dealerships, concert venues, racing events. The town transforms entirely between midnight and 8 a.m. on opening day. The entire traffic pattern of Sturgis is going to shift so they can manage this huge influx of people. But now we're going to show how the story kind of takes a dark turn, okay? Every year, as hundreds of thousands of people gather, another industry springs into action, human trafficking. And the statistics are going to shock you. Looking at law enforcement arrests during recent rallies shows a consistent pattern. Now, these are just the ones that get caught. So it doesn't seem like a lot. In 2013, they had 9 arrests. 2014, they had 5 indictments. 2016, 8 arrests. 2017, 9. 2018, 6. 2019, 11. 2020, 8. 2021, 9. 2022, 6. 2023, 5. And 2024, 7. Okay, so that doesn't seem like a lot, but these are children and women that have been trafficked. And these are the ones that got caught by them setting up stings. How many never got caught? See, that's the thing to think about. So the children involved in these cases that I just shared might not have been a lot. Those children were the age between 12 to 15 years old. And that's shocking. The South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley states plainly, when you have a large event like this, there is a criminal element, and we've experienced it in the past, and there child predators come out. And there are even those in the community that are child predators that use this as an excuse thinking they won't get caught. So it's not just people coming in, something to think about. But here's the most shocking statistic. While white Native Americans make up only 8 to 9% of the South Dakota's population, they account for over 40% of the trafficking victims in the state. And of course, I got a few names, so I had to throw those up so we know who these people are. Because if you're a predator, your name needs to be out there. But like I said, only 40% of trafficking victims, that's the Native population. And that's sad. Why are they targeted? Well, to understand why the Native women and children are so vulnerable, we're going to discuss the history a little bit. And I'm going to share some stories here. They're going to be tough to hear, but you know what? They lived through them. So buckle up. We can do it. We're going to hear from Lisa here, and her real name's not provided in the story. She's a 41-year-old survivor of trafficking. She was raised on a South Dakota reservation. Okay. Her mother, when she was young, she says, my mother went to a boarding school before she had me. And the dean at the school essayed her mother repeatedly. That's right. The school that they sent her mother to, that's what happened. And she says, I believe I'm the product of that. And at a very young age, she was then introduced to a chomo, or a pedophile. Lisa's stepfather would rent her out to cover the monthly rent. She recalls waking up to see prominent community members, even the local sheriff, at their house. So you can see why a lot of the Native and Indigenous people do not trust the law. She was a child. It's not the way to meet your sheriff. Then there's Julie. She's 31. She's a survivor. She grew up in a foster care on a different reservation. When she was 13, her foster father, a long-distance trucker, he started taking her on road trips. She says, if I wanted to eat, I had to go to other truck drivers and do things with them. At 14, she got pregnant, and they said whatever I gave birth to, they were going to feed it to the farm animals, to pigs. Now, these aren't isolated cases. This is part of their historical pattern of what these people, the women and the children, go through on these reservations and when they get trafficked. Clinical psychologist Melissa Farley explains, the early explorers and trappers and settlers saw the way the Native women dressed, because you got to remember back then the women were in bustles and had all these overskirts, and the Native women didn't dress that way. And so they decided that meant, hey, there's something wrong with these women. So morally, we have the right to kidnap them, SA them, make money off of them. And so that's what they did to the Native women and girls. No consequences at that time. Hey, Curville, thanks for joining us, darling. So the forced residential boarding school system, where violence and SA were widespread, that caused generational trauma. Moo, I know it's disturbing. Moo's disturbed.
Yes, she is.
She is, poor baby. But because when they went into these schools, a lot of them were run by the churches. The first thing they would do is they would cut the hair of all the Native children. They wouldn't allow them to speak their own language because they were going to make white people out of them. They were going to get rid of the Indian. And so they physically and sexually abused them. And that's what the population of the Native and the Indigenous people have dealt with generationally this trauma where you cannot trust people. Irish Amy hears you. You got to be good, Moo. So, along with poverty, addiction, and social issues on the reservations, this has made the Native women especially vulnerable, even trafficked by their own families. Because, like Lisa, it was her stepfather. Now, as Farley describes, you have 3 or 4 kids and you and your children are hungry. Someone comes along and says, "Give me that child. I'll put her through school. I'll make sure she gets a great job. Oh, and by the way, here's $1,000." And you send your child away. Now, let's discuss how this unfolds during the rally. Kelly Patterson, the founder of Treasured Lives and a survivor herself, shares her experience. She says, "The trafficking ring loaned me out for 2 months to a well-known motorcycle club because I was always trying to escape. They didn't know was that I would have preferred to stay with them because at least I wasn't being tortured." So the sex ring was torturing her. The bikers, well, we know what they were doing at that time because they had given her to them. But she would have rather stayed with them, which is sad. She was a child. The rally results in what experts call transit trafficking. Now, that's the transportation of victims from one event to another. Like I said, we're not just picking on Sturgis. It's a huge event in South Dakota. And with South Dakota, you have Interstate I-90, as the map shows, goes clear across the state, and I-29 that goes up and down, up into Canada. So this is part of what they call the Midwest pipeline that moves trafficking victims across the country. That's why it happens so much in South Dakota. Now, Rachel Schwartz from Call to Freedom explains, "We've worked with people who were brought into the state for the event, physically trafficked across state lines, and people from local communities too. It's a deeply local issue and very concerning national one." Hey, OnlyFan, glad you made it, darling. But the trafficking doesn't just happen in Sturgis itself. It can happen along the route as people are traveling to the rally because they might pick up people on their way if they're not as conscientious as a lot of the people that go. And that affects these rural communities. So how do we identify trafficking? Because it's not what we see in the movies. As one advocate said, it's not going to look like the man in the white van kidnapping people. You know, that's what we were all told as children. Now, yes, it can happen that way, but more than likely it doesn't. It's going to be right in front of your face. You know, it's going to be through the computer. You're right. And I agree with you totally on that, Krusty. It is usually the 1%ers that are doing this. Totally. You know? And that's why we want to make sure that we distinguish between. I'm not blaming all bikers. Like I said, even during hunting season, and that's not always bikers coming in to go hunting. That's, you know, people's husbands and fathers, and they go up there to go hunting. Well, they might be doing other things. They use it as an excuse. So things to look for. What are physical indicators? Bruises in various stages of healing, signs of malnutrition. It appears that they might have been denied food, water, sleep, or medical care because they want to keep them weak and they want to keep them malleable so that they keep doing what they're told. They might have inappropriate clothing for the occasion or the weather. Tattoos. They might be given a tattoo because they're being trafficked. There's also behavioral signs. If someone avoids eye contact and always appears fearful, maybe they're not even permitted to speak on their own. They might be anxious, especially when a law enforcement shows up. Now, they can't say where they're staying. They have an inconsistent story. It feels like they're under someone's control. They might not even have ID on them. Hey, the alternate point of view, Racy's here. So the situational red flags, someone who seems to be rented out or controlled by another person, a minor with an adult who is not a family member, someone who defers all questions to the person they're with. The main advice from experts is trust your instincts. If something feels off, it likely is. Now, an interesting thing about the tattoos is, do you know tattoo artists have been doing this on a grassroots level for years of noticing tattoos, realizing what they were for, and reporting them. So let's give it up to the tattoo artists that had a clue. But artist Jesse Neese told NPR, so even during that brief period when I'm tattooing someone, we can talk. At least I can kind of gauge, whether their world is okay or not. Austin Rosenberger told another station, he expressed the horror at the way such a meaningful art form can be warped. He said, it's super foul. It hurts my heart to think about. You're taking away the human factor of this person and creating them into an object. So tattoo artists can also display human trafficking awareness materials and the hotline somewhere visible in the shop, especially in the bathroom where clients might have a private moment to make a call or send a quick text. It might be helpful for the artist to even learn what local services, emergency services they have, so that they can refer survivors if the conversation reveals that they think they have a trafficked person. Now, we don't want anyone to put themselves in danger, ever. Get a hold of the authorities. But if you're aware, you might be able to help. And that's a positive. Now, let me share something. Now, this was disturbing for any parent because this comes from Officer Gomez, a school resource officer in Idaho. And he's been tracking this trafficking and how it begins. And it's social media. He said it's the primary recruitment tool. Snapchat, high school drug dealers offer different pricing options to young girls, not the typical white van these days. So they might tell them that marijuana costs $150. But if you give me some nude photos, maybe it's $110. If you actually do something with me sexually, $80. And that's how it starts. And we're talking 7th and 8th grade girls trading images for drugs, phones, alcohol, and rides. TikTok has become what Officer Gomez calls the granddaddy of grooming. Girls are offered money, and it might start easy, like, I'll give you $15 for a picture of your feet. And some girl might think, well, that's not a bad thing. Then it's maybe they want to see you in your underwear. Then before you know it, it's nude photos. Or maybe they want you to do a video, and it can be $200 to $1,000. And some girls make substantial money this way before they end up being trafficked because it starts slow. And here was something I hadn't thought of, is that the OnlyFans platform, not our OnlyFans, the OnlyFans platform is grooming teens to enter adult pictures, because you can't say that P word, they get upset, the moment they turn 18. Some even get accounts set up for them by adults who take a percentage before they are 18. So that makes them minors. So anyone that wants to go visit OnlyFans site, you might want to think about it next time that you're perusing it. You could be looking at a minor. And I know how a lot of you like to watch Big True when Sasquatch goes chomo hunting. I don't want chomo Big True coming for you thinking you're a chomo. So just think about that. You don't want to be one of the bad guys or women, because women do too. Another thing, emojis. Yes, they have turned emojis into trafficking. And that just what can I say? High heels and a crown used as advertising for sex trafficking. A rose indicates availability, often in combination on social media and online marketplaces. So that's kind of how they get around it. Because the advantages that these traffickers, they can do high speed communication across large distances. They eliminate geographic barriers. They reduce the need for physical meetings with their victims even. It enables them to have this remote coordination of logistics, because they can have their transportation routes, meeting points, and it's done with emojis. And when the law enforcement catches on, well, we just change the emojis up. So that makes the detection very hard for the police. It creates obstacles for them, and anti-trafficking and nonprofits make online monitoring more difficult. So the bottom line, traffickers have adapted to digital platforms by using seemingly innocent emoji symbols as a coded language for illegal activities, making their operations harder to detect while expanding their reach through the internet. So, the next time if you see something on the marketplace, next door neighbor, these are all things to look for emojis, because this is the modern evolution in how trafficking and network communication is being done in the digital age. They ain't using pagers no more, people. So how do the Native communities protect their young people? Well, the parents and the families, they've got to have regular conversations with their children. They need to monitor that social media activity and any new friends. Ask about their day, who they're talking to, and what websites they visit. Create a safe space for your children to report uncomfortable situations. Educate them about the tactics that traffickers use. Never forget the boyfriend scenario. That's always one that gets the girls, and it can be used on the boys too and the girlfriends, because boys are trafficked just as much. So return to the traditional community watching, where neighbors look out for each other's children. Provide education about trafficking signs and prevention. Don't be afraid to talk to your children about it. Create safe spaces and resources for at-risk youth. Address the underlying issues like poverty, addiction, and housing instability, because they're huge on some of those reservations up in South Dakota. Pine Ridge is one of the poorest. So learn the warning signs, trust your instincts, report suspicious activity to local law enforcement. If you feel like Lisa's story, the sheriff visited her home, you can see why she might not want to call the local police. But there is the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which is 888-373-7888, or you text info to Be Free, 233-733. Lisa Hope Heath, founder of Wakoni Wakakia, Helping Families Live, is working to help tribal nations take matters into their own hands. Lisa said, "We've decided to share these cases amongst ourselves so local law enforcement can look into them. If they find anything, they can pull the feds in." But despite this grim reality, people are fighting back. And let me tell you about some heroes in this story, because there are some. Hey, Dr. Dredd, thanks for joining us. Call to Freedom was formed by Becky Rasmussen after she met a young woman named Marissa at the 2015 Sturgis Rally. Marissa could barely maintain eye contact and said, "You have no idea what my day has been like." She disappeared immediately and after never to be seen again. That encounter motivated Rasmussen to establish South Dakota's leading anti-trafficking organization. They run Marissa's House. This is a specialized shelter for adult survivors and their children, named after the girl Rasmussen still searches for to this day. Next, you have BAT, Bikers Against Trafficking. They set up booths at Sturgis for several years. Their co-founder, she was trafficked at Sturgis, making this personal. Their president, Patrick Dock, explains our goal is to stop trafficking. If we can't stop it, we report it. Our mere presence lets people know that people are looking. So if you're at Sturgis, look for bad. Native Hope collaborates with various law enforcement agencies and advocacy groups to raise awareness, especially within the Native community. These organizations provide comprehensive services, case management, addiction treatment, because a lot of the trafficked people, they put them on drugs. And a lot of times there's shame, and that's why they don't reach out right away, because they're embarrassed. They're humiliated for what they've been through. They get counseling, employment help, legal advocacy, and more. And I'm sure you'll probably find a BACA, BACA up there, Bikers Against Child Abuse. They're a cool group too. They actually, if allowed, will go to court with a child that has been abused so that they don't have to sit in that courtroom in fear. So BACA and BAT, hey, cool dudes and women in the group. We also know the Medicine Wheel Ride, Native female motorcycle riders will be there. So check them out because they're standing up for the MMIW community. I don't know if the Red Drum MC, they should probably be around that week, because they're also a Native MC. And then, of course, Krusty, we know, is with Motorcycle Mission. And that, make sure you check them out, especially on Thursday morning. I think it starts, 9 a.m. They're going to have their pancake breakfast. So make sure y'all check out the posters and go have breakfast and meet the guys and gals, because it's a cool group. There are some great organizations that really care for other people out there. Oh, good. Red Drum will be there. Okay. But, we're sure that there are many more that I don't even know, that I haven't mentioned. Okay, 9 a.m. And I forgot, where are you guys holding your pancake breakfast? I know I did a thing for you and then I forgot. I'll have to put it up on our YouTube page too. I didn't do that yet because we want to celebrate Krusty's organization, Motorcycle Mission, because they help first responders and veterans, and it's very important. So look out for each other. Anyone in need of help, contact the authorities.
Outlaw Square in Deadwood.
Thank you, Doc. Remember, that's 9 a.m. for a free pancake breakfast, guys. They're also going to have a contest. Bring your bike, show it off. And they're going to have some guests. So go hang out with them. Have a good time. Because Sturgis is supposed to be about fun and getting to see the bikes and getting acquainted with people that you used to know or meeting new people. It's not all bad. Now, remember, if you see something and you have to contact the authorities, do it. Don't risk your life and don't risk the life of the victim. You don't want to put them in a position that it could be dangerous. And here's what we're talking about. Human trafficking is a $150 billion global industry affecting 24.9 million people worldwide. Now, I know tonight we're talking about our Native, Indigenous family, and they're the ones that are being affected at this time. But this is happening all over. You cannot turn on the news or turn on YouTube and not see all these trafficking victims that are being rescued and being caught up in these huge, huge cases. And we will keep shining the light on all of them. But of course, Thursday night is for our family of Native and Indigenous people. So in the US alone, there is an estimated 1.5 million people who are being trafficked. A child can be taken into slavery every 2.5 hours. But South Dakota's situation is distinct because it's really a peaceful rural mindset. It's got the perfect cover for trafficking activities. Some of those reservations are huge. They don't have the force, the native force, to cover it all. The state's expansive, open areas make it simple to hide crimes. Local law enforcement, they lack the training to even identify trafficking, even when it's occurring openly. The tribal police are badly underfunded, short staffed. They might focus on other crimes because of the heavy caseload. Sometimes, like Julie said, law enforcement officers themselves can be involved. So that's something to think about. The media's role is also questioned. Lisa Hope Heath believes media coverage is insufficient. Maybe it's because bringing attention to the trafficking might deter tourists and hunters from bringing money into their state. So nobody wants to talk about it. And that's why we are. But what can we do? We're just listening. That's part of listening to the stories. If you see something suspicious, you can call 911 for immediate law enforcement response. Contact the National Human Trafficking Hotlines. South Dakota has a 24-hour statewide sex trafficking and sexual assault hotline. So there are things we can do. We can hear the stories. We can pass them on. Make sure other people know what is happening. Because when we let it not be talked about, when we try to hide it, that makes the victims feel even dirtier. And they shouldn't be, because it is not their fault. They are the victim. They need to know that someone cares, that we're trying to educate people. We're trying to educate ourselves. We're trying to learn the signs of trafficking. So if we are out and we see something, then we can do something. Have regular conversations with young people about online safety. Anyone in your family, if you have kids, nieces, nephews, grandkids, don't be afraid to bring the conversation up. They read the news. Kids are onto a lot of stuff that we probably have no clue. So don't be afraid to bring it up for their age level. Support organizations that do fight trafficking. BAT, Bikers Against Trafficking, BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. These are some of the groups. Some of the others that I've mentioned. Advocate for better training for law enforcement. Push for more resources for tribal communities. Remember, anyone can become a victim of trafficking. There's not a stereotype. They're not looking for just one kind of person. Now, Native American women and children, or Native and Indigenous women face a higher risk because of their trauma that they're already going through and the injustices and the targeted exploitation, because they're up there in the Midwest along those highways and they don't think anybody cares. So we have to show we care, right? But let's also think about the 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. It brings joy to hundreds of thousands of riders. So we're not trying to say it's a bad thing. It's an awesome thing. It generates millions to the economy, which helps them. It's going to create memories that last them a lifetime. But some of it can be a nightmare for the Native families, and another reminder that their children face dangers others don't. For survivors like Lisa, Julie, and Kelly Patterson, it's a painful reminder of trauma that takes a lifetime to heal. And that's why we want to prevent it when we can see it. As we celebrate the freedom of the open road, the freedom of the community, and the freedom of gathering, let's also stand up for the freedom of those who have had it taken from them. The next time you attend a large gathering, even a festival, not just a rally, remember that predators are observing as well. Keep in mind that vulnerable individuals, especially the Native women and children, do require our protection. If you see someone staring at someone, don't be afraid to go over and act like you know them. You've heard the instance where a woman will come up and, tell a young lady, "Oh, honey, you're here. I'm so glad I found you." That might make a predator walk away. We don't know. So don't be afraid if you see something suspicious, because behind every celebration, someone might be crying out for help. And if they are, It's up to us to listen. But let's look at a couple of missing people. Leyland Sheridan, he's 17 years old. He has brown eyes and brown hair, and he's only 5'6". He's 106 pounds, and he was last seen on July 28th. Now, the investigating agency is the Flathead Tribal Police. He was taken from the Flathead Indian Reservation in Montana. So the number's 406 675 4700. One thing to think about, they also will traffic kids to work. So it's not just, about sex. So sometimes they do. They will put them to work in hotels and different places. Keep your eyes open. This is Mary Williamson, Northern Cheyenne Reservation in Montana. She's been missing since July 25th. She's only 14. Brown hair and eyes, 5'6", 150 pounds. Contact the North Cheyenne Investigative Service. They're at 406-477-6288. Next, we have a couple of sisters. They might have run away. I don't know why. Taylor Miller, she's only 12, and they've been missing since July 13th from Phoenix, Arizona. And Amber is her older sister. She's only 14, and they were last seen together. And that's the only description we have since July 13th. So if you have any information about Tyler or Amber's whereabouts, don't hesitate to get in touch with the Phoenix Police Department. It's 602-262-6151. Now we have Tania Benali. She's 13. She's 5'7" and 140 pounds. Brown eyes. Her hair is purple at the moment. She was last seen in Farmington, New Mexico on July 22nd. So if anyone knows her whereabouts, contact 505-334-6622. Doc will put their case numbers because I did get a few of them. He'll put them down in there for us. But, keep your eyes out when you're out and about, people, wherever you are. Don't always be glued to a cell phone. A Krusty has a good question. Has anyone spent any time on a reservation? If you're in the area of a reservation, go and visit. Buy products from Native and Indigenous people. They have eBay shops and different places that you can buy their products. Help support them because they are out there and doing some wonderful things. They have some beautiful art, some awesome clothing, some things that we can do to help support them. So just remember, you guys, every predator relies on your silence, whether they're hiding in plain sight among the crowds or targeting the vulnerable during rally week. Don't be the reason we have to share another story from the Black Hills. To our biker community and everyone at Sturgis, if you see something, say something. Look out for those who might be in danger, especially from our Native and Indigenous communities who are facing this risk during this time. That missing person isn't just a statistic. They're someone's daughter, son, sister, or brother. The code of the road means we protect each other, all of us. So just remember, we love you all. We want Krusty and his brothers to have a fabulous trip on their way up and while they're there, and to come home safely. And we can't wait to see the pictures and hear all the great memories that he's gotten. So keep the conversation going, everybody. Okay, so until next time, keep your engines running, your eyes open, and never stop seeking justice. I love you all. Please hit that button, like it, subscribe, buy us a coffee if you think what we're doing is cool or not. I love you all, and I have the best mods on the planet. So thank you for being here. Ciao.
Dresses hanging in the wind tonight. Silent witness. witnesses to stories untold. Sisters, mothers, daughters out of sight. Their voices echo, brave and bold. Every face upon the missing wall has a name, a dream, a beating heart. We won't let their memory fall. Each one precious from the start. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. Indigenous people, strong and free. Women, men, and children too. Your lives have meaning, you belong. We hear your voices call. All lives matter in this sacred space. Every soul within our human race. True seekers, junkies, unite. We are family, we'll make this right. We will stand up and join the fight. Fight on! They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand together, search as one, until every case is done. They matter, and love will light the way. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together.